everyone, welcome to Crystal Clear Reviews. I'm Crystal and this is my channel, obviously. Today I'm going to talk to you about some movie adaptations coming out in September and some books coming out in September that my most anticipated reads and my September TBR. Now, one of my most anticipated reads list has one of the books that is on my September TBR, so I will link a picture of that up here when I go through my TBR. Actually, I will mention it last so I can transition in to my TBR. Now, the first thing I want to talk to you about today are the upcoming films for September that are being adapted by the upcoming adaptations for September. So the first one is highly anticipated by me. I've loved this author for a million years. I saw The Dark Tower in August. It was amazing. I loved that book. I loved the movie. I don't know how he does it, but I know how he does it. He's the writer, so he works very closely with the filmmakers to make sure that his literary spin is put on it. So the reason why his movies are so close to his books is because of the fact that he works so closely with the film producers, and I love that about Stephen King. I love the fact that he has a hand in all of the movies that are adapted from his books. I couldn't be more thankful for that because everything that I see in my head when I read his books is portrayed onto the film because of it. And that is something that I think more authors should have a hand in, because oftentimes we allow directors to run away with these books and they never turn out the way that I feel about them, and it ruins it for me. So without further ado, on September 8th, Stephen King's It comes out into theaters. It's going to be starring Bill Skarsgård and Jaden Lieberher. Lieberher. I don't know how to spell I don't know how to pronounce his last name. So that is the most anticipated film for September that I'm excited about. I cannot wait. The second movie adaptation that is happening in September is Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer, and that's starring Natalie Portman, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Tessa Thompson. Now, all I know about this book is that it was about a disaster zone and some biological warfare happens, or some biological environmental disaster happens, and some unknown biologist embarks on a journey to chart that region. So it's going to be directed by Alex Garland, who was responsible for Ex Machina. So that makes me very excited because Ex Machina was a really good movie, and Alex Garland is a really good director. So we'll see how that movie adaptation goes. Oh, I forgot to say who the director of It is. Andy Muschietti, who also is a very good director. He has done Mama, Historias Breves 3, and the new series Lock and Key. And that is my most anticipated film adaptations for September. Now we'll get into my most anticipated September new releases. Number 1 on this list is Warcross by Maria Lu. I've heard so much good things about Maria Lu. Marie Lu, but I've never actually read one of her books. But I am, however, excited for Warcross. It seems like a premise that I could be interested in and wrap my head around. So I'm so excited. I've heard so much about this in the booktube community that it makes me want to read it. The next anticipated book in September 2017 that I have on my list is One Dark Throne by Kendare Blake. It is being released quite soon out of the book releases. September is a big month for book releases. I'm excited for a lot of books that are coming out in September. The next one that I'm excited about is They Both Die at the End by Adam Solera. I'm not going to go into a synopsis of all these books because there are way too many and it would take me like 20 minutes to go through each one, so I'm not going to do that. The next one on my list that is most anticipated is Girls Made Out of Snow and Glass by Melissa Bashardost. Then there's Invictus by Ryan Groudon coming out in September. The Language of Thorns, Midnight Tales and Dangerous Magic by Leigh Bardugo. Even the Darkest Stars by Heather Fawcett. Moxie, who I have heard so much from so many different booktubers. Emma Books loves this book. I believe Kayla over at Books and Lala read this book and loved it. Everybody that has read this book so far as an arc has loved this book, so I'm so excited for this book. Jane Unlimited by Kristen Cashore is another one I'm very excited about. I really like the premise of that book. If There's No Tomorrow by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Starfish by Akemi Dawn Bowman. Nixia by Scott Reintgen. I don't know how to say his name, so I'm sorry for that. Feral Youth by Sean David Hutchinson, who Kayla over at Books and Lala raved about, so I'm so excited about that book. I really trust Kayla's reviews, so if she is excited about this book, I'm excited about this book. I Hate Everyone But You by Gabby Dunn over at Ash and Gad, or I can't remember, but I will link it down in my description box. And the last one that I am super excited about, I cannot get a physical copy of it until the 26th of September, and the day that it comes out, I will be at that bookstore getting it because I have anticipated this since they said in April that it was coming, and that is Sleeping Beauties by Stephen King and his son Owen King. I cannot tell you how much I adore that this is happening. I am so darn excited for it. Like, I can't even tell you how excited I am for it. So with that, I'm going to jump in to my September TBRs because that is on my TBR for September. I don't have a physical copy of it yet, but I will have it on the 26th and I will read it that day most likely. So let's get into the physical books that I do have. I'm not going to go into deep detail about what they're about, but I will give you a little bit of a synopsis. The first book on my TBR is The Shadow Queen. I may not read these in the order I'm telling you, but they are on my TBR. This is about, it's a retelling of Snow White. The main character, Lorelai, is the crown princess and fugitive at large. She has one mission, and that's to kill the wicked queen who took both the Ravenspire throne and the life of her father. So she's trying to avenge the death of her father, and in order to do that, she must use the one weapon that she and Queen Irina have in common, and that's magic. So it is a fairy tale retelling of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So I'm very excited to see a twisted Snow White. I've never read a Snow White retelling. I haven't yet picked up the Lunar Chronicles series. I know there is some fairy tale retelling in that. So I am very excited for this book. I have had it for a few months now, and I can't wait to get into it. And I have decided to put this on my September TBR because it's finally time to read it, I think, being that it's the first month in fall. Halloween is coming up. This seems like it would be a good fall read. The next book on my TBR has been on my TBR. If you've watched the last 3 TBR videos that I put out, it has been on my TBR for all 3 of these videos, and I am going to get to this in September because I feel bad that I haven't already. And that is Heavier Than Heaven by Charles R. Cross, and it is the biography of Kurt Cobain. I'm a huge Nirvana fan, huge Kurt Cobain fan, and I need to get to this book because I've had it on my TBR all summer and I have not yet been able to get to it because I've had other books I needed to get to before this. So this is definitely a September read. No ifs, ands, or buts. It is top priority for me. Now, I do have one review book that I have to read in September, so it will be before the Heavier Than Heaven book, but that is Prince Harry, Boy to Man by William Kuhn. This was sent to me by the author. He did sign it. And date it. And I must get to this book so that I can give him a fair and honest review of it. And the synopsis of this is, it says it's 2007, Harry's 23 and his problems he can't handle alone. The army considers him a risk, the press thinks he's a brat, girls like him because he's a prince, he wishes he wasn't. He hopes service in Afghanistan will help him prove himself. Instead, deployment exposes vulnerability under his bad boy persona. It results in comic coming of age he definitely didn't see coming. He's always hated the media, so he doesn't know what to do when he falls for a reporter from CNN. It's complicated by the fact that she's a woman disguised as a man to evade the Pentagon's ban on women in the front line positions. Nor does he anticipate making a gay best friend and a brother officer named Mustafa. And what's his former nanny doing on a plane to Kabul? His colonel, who would much rather be reading Shakespeare than dealing with the Taliban, stumbles upon buried trauma from Harry's childhood. If he can learn how to cope with all that, he may find fulfillment in the fulfillment he never dreamed was possible being a prince. So, as you heard in my August book haul, I do believe this is kind of a fictional telling of Prince Harry, Prince of Wales, story. As you know, my mom is British. She immigrated here with her family when she was very young. She's not actually a Canadian, and the royal family is a very important part of my family because my grandparents are very loyalist British. So this drew me in right away with the synopsis, and I cannot wait to read and review it for William. So that is on the top of my September TBR list, right after I finish the book that I started in August and did not get finished. So this is my next one. The next book I have on my September TBR is actually a book I'm very excited about. I am a huge hockey fan. The Montreal Canadiens are my favorite team ever, and and I received an advanced reader copy of a book that comes out in October 2017 called How We Did It: The Subban Plan for Success in Hockey, School, and Life, and it is written by PK Subban's father. So I'm super excited to read this because PK Subban is one of my favorite hockey players. I'm so sad and devastated that he is not part of the Canadians right now, but he's only on a 3-season contract with his current team, and then he becomes a free agent, and he has said that he will be back in Montreal before we know it. So I cannot wait for that day. I am completely in love with PK Subban as a human. He is an amazing human being. He does a lot of charity work, and I just love him as a player. He's so humble on the ice. I cannot wait to read this book. My next book is a very anticipated read. I was so excited to win this from Goodreads, and that is My Husband's Wife, and I just received this yesterday, so it will be in my September book haul video, but I'm super excited to read this book. This book is about a woman who is happily married to a man named Ed. She is hoping to make a fresh start and leave the secrets of her past behind. So secrets that her husband does not even know. And then she meets this young girl who's only 12, and she finds herself utterly charmed by this girl. But it says, but Lily is not the only one with secrets. Carla may be only 9. Sorry, she's only 9, not 12. But she has already learned that secrets are powerful things, that they can get her whatever she wants, and she has the uncanny ability to twist the truth so she almost always gets her way. Then Lily takes on her first murder case and meets Joe, a convicted murderer to whom she is strangely drawn, and for whom she will soon be willing to risk almost anything. Her work on Joe's case becomes all-consuming until she learns that her marriage to Ed is based on a bed of lies. Lies she could never have imagined her own husband capable of telling. When Lily finds Carla on her doorstep 12 years later, a chain of events is set in motion that can only end one way. A modern spin on the classic bedseed story, My Husband's Wife, is a twisty, addictive thriller whose shocking finale you will never forget. So this is a thriller book, and it seems like it's kind of Girl on the Train-ish and Gone Girl-ish. So I'm super excited to read this. And I was so happy to find this in my mailbox yesterday. You don't even know. With that, I'm going to leave you here, and I'm going to get on with my September reading because I have a lot to do. As you can see, there is 5 physical books right here, and I'm waiting on one more. So I better get to it. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching.